Following Taiwan's 9-1 elections, TVBS commentator Yu Wenqi spoke with Guo Chonglun, deputy managing editor of United Daily News, and David Sachs, a research fellow at the Council on Foreign Relations, to analyze the results of the elections. The experts remarked that the Democratic Progressive Party's supposed strategy of resisting China and protecting Taiwan has failed. And although the Kuomintang won the local elections, this momentum may not last in the 2024 presidential elections. The Democratic Progressive Party's defeat may arouse a sense of crisis, and they might regroup and have a comeback for the 2024 presidential elections.
Welcome to TVBS Meeting Room, where we tackle global issues with a view from Taiwan. I'm your host, Wenqi Yu. Today, we have a special program to look at Taiwan's local elections that took place yesterday and their global implications. We're pleased to have with us Chonglun Guo, the deputy managing editor of a leading newspaper, United Daily, in Taiwan, as well as David Sachs, a research fellow at the Council on Foreign Relations, specializing in China and Taiwan. He spent a few years at the American Institute in Taiwan, AIT, the de facto U.S. Embassy in Taipei. Welcome.
Since it's only local elections, I think the voters care more about local affairs and individual candidates rather than a relation with China, for instance. But this also shows that there's a genuine dissatisfaction toward the ruling DPP.
That a lot of analysts in the United States and internationally were far too quick to write off the KMT. And I think that that was a flawed analysis, and clearly now we've seen that that was a flawed analysis.
Kuomintang's big victory also marks one of the biggest setbacks in the history of the DPP. Has the Democratic Progressive Party's campaign strategy failed?
I noticed that DPP tried to campaign on so-called resist China, protect Taiwan slogan, but it did not really work. This is because I think it had been very successful in 2020 when Tsai Ing-wen ran for her re-election. I think the scare tactics by DPP is not really that effective in a sense.
The results of the 9-1 general elections also affect the layout of the 2024 presidential election. The question is, can the KMT continue this momentum?
Although KMT is winning, too many people would try to take the credit and seek nomination for the president, which would divide the party. KMT had lost in 2020. It's most likely that it will lose again in 2024. On the contrary, DPP may be losing in this election, but would help DPP to create a sense of crisis and help to consolidate and make sure that the vice president, William Lai, will win the nomination and subsequently, hopefully, win the election in 2024.
2024, I think it will be difficult for the KMT to translate these victories on the local level into victory on the national level in a presidential election. But I also think that we see clearly the KMT still has broad support across Taiwan.
According to Sachs, a research fellow at the Council on Foreign Relations, from an American perspective, the U.S. is not really leaning towards the KMT or the DPP, but the United States does want to see cross-strait relations be handled responsibly.
A cross-strait dialogue is preferable to no dialogue because that reduces the chances of miscalculation by either side of the strait. I think the United States wants to be reassured that there will be a continued commitment to raising defense spending, to pursuing an asymmetric defense strategy, to really investing in Taiwan's deterrent. And regardless of which party comes to power, I think the United States wants to see continuity in that regard.
Both experts agree that for the upcoming 2024 general elections, the KMT must explain its cross-strait policy, and it will be difficult to please both Beijing and the Taiwanese voters at the same time. The issue of the Taiwan Strait will still be the key to winning the 2024 elections. Jennifer Dia, TVBS World Taiwan.